Hello everyone, it's Jay here from the TBC, welcoming you all back for episode 7. As some of you will know, if you've seen our Instagram stories, we've got a guest on this week. It's Rob Smith from the Andy's Man Club, and we've just finished recording and it's such a fucking sick episode.
So good.
So excited to share it with everyone. Yeah, and did you have any feedback on last week's show?
Yeah, last week's show went down a treat. Everyone, like, not everyone obviously, but like a few people messaged in.
2 people.
Saying like it was good to hear that side of us, and like they especially liked our tales of the gentleman's lounge.
Why you say it like a fucking nonce.
Like, that was very well received. Yeah, I believe you've got a quick little shout out to do here, pal.
Yeah, mate. So just wanted to shout out the we've been speaking with like a clothing brand who do sustainable sourced and recycled cotton and caring for the environment. They are called Otis, but it's spelled Otis, but it's a 5 instead of an S because they're just fucking cool and down with the kids. Their Instagram is Otis, but the 5, as I just said, .est established .2023. We've been in contact with them, we've exchanged a few messages last week, and we was talking about doing like a bit of a like a TBC discount code, but then we exchanged a few more messages and they was like, yeah, it'd be fucking mint if like you could, because you've seen our sick graphics on our Insta.
That's all you, mate. I've got fuck all.
No, I
to
know
do
it's
with
not.
that.
I'm actually going to share in our story the t-shirt that you mocked up that
Oh,
time.
no, it's
and you
terrible.
was like, bro, let's get these t-shirts done.
Don't.
And I was
It's
like,
absolutely fucking shocking.
yeah, I'm going to share it with everyone anyway. I'm going to do I'm going to upload it and be like, how much would you pay to like, well, no, I'm not. I'm going to get it printed actually. I'm going to fucking give it you for your birthday and make you rep it, mate.
I like a tea as much as the next man.
Yeah, but it's the shittest tea in the world. But anyway, we're going to do a collab t-shirt with Otis, and it's going to be like a graphic tee, obvs, because
that's what we're about. Tees. Yeah, we fuck with graphic tees.
We're thinking, obviously, like on the front, it's going to be like a TBC times Otis, and then on the back, it's just going to have one of our cheeky graphics on the back. So that'll be coming hopefully soon. We've had a really busy week, we've had loads of shit on, so we've just, we are in the midst of getting it sorted. But this episode's fire, and you're probably going to see a bit of a change in tone, really, because we've already recorded it. We're not going to spoil the who you're drinking, but we've fucking drank some heavy shit tonight. So we're like pretty wave now, but when the podcast starts, we're going to be sober. For that. So it's going to be it's going to be a nice little transition. But anyway, catch you on the flip side.
Peace. And we're in, and we're live.
Yeah, welcome back. So on today's episode, we've got Rob. Rob's on the line.
Just waiting. Yeah. Wait, ready and raring.
Not like we've been having tech issues for fucking half an hour, but yeah. How's it going, Rob? How are you doing?
Good, thanks for having me on. It's been a while we've been talking, so yeah, good.
Yeah, brilliant. So did you had an icebreaker question?
Oh yeah, I've got a nice little icebreaker question for you, Rob, if you don't mind partaking.
Go on then.
So, you've got a bank robbery planned out to the nines, like you're some sort of Danny Ocean inspired supervillain. One guy drops out, and you've got a choice of either me or Jay to fill that spot. Who you picking? Oh, fucking hell! You're both shite noise.
Second McAnna.
It's like trusting someone from over at Pennines. I don't know if I could do it.
Oh yeah. You're just going to turn yourself in.
I don't know.
Biting my nails here, Rob.
Yeah, it's hard. Because obviously, last one with Jay, how he got beat up and stuff, it's not going to be that reliable.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with you, and I can't go with Jay.
Oh, buzzing! Fucking get in there,
Because I got
my
decked
son.
off a fucking 7-foot pole.
I'm like Alan from The
enough.
Hangover, Rob. I don't care what happens. I don't care if I kill someone. Sin City.
You're ready just to step up.
I'll step up. I'll step up to the plate.
You know, it's a great answer. I'm really happy with that answer.
Cheers, Rob.
but not actually do anything and just watch your mate get beat up, yeah? It's alright.
There
If
you
you
go.
get beat up, that's different.
I'll take it on the chin.
Yeah, so anyway, for all 4 of our listeners, including us 3 on this call, would you mind just telling us a little bit about yourself, Rob, and like what you do? And obviously you're involved a lot with Andy's Man Club, so would you just mind telling, just telling us about that, please?
Yeah, so I'm Rob. So I'm part of Andy's Man Club in Doncaster, where I'm one of the facilitators there. So that's something that's growing and getting bigger and bigger at the moment, which we can go into a bit more detail later. But yeah, it's that's mainly the big bit of it. We Andy's Man Club Doncaster. Day life, I'm a civil servant, so I can't really go much into that one. All top secret stuff. But,
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, something where previously I've worked on like the railway and plumbing and stuff like that. But, yeah, now a civil servant, so complete opposite end.
I know, yeah, it is, isn't it? Wow.
Yeah. So how long have you been involved with Andy's Man Club then? Was that quite a long time?
Yeah, how did that start, Rob?
Yeah, so I first started going to Andy's Man Club, but my first one was the 19th of July 2021, so not far off 2.5 years now since I took that first step through the door. And then it was only a few months later I then became a facilitator, opened up a new club in Doncaster just over a year ago, where it's going strength to strength and looking to open up a third one in the near future. So yeah, it's just one of them things where I took them first steps myself when I was at a bad time, and just eventually being able to grow and build that confidence and getting to do a lot more stuff with it.
And how did you find that, like, first, like, evening or whenever it was you went, like, were you greeted nicely and warmly and stuff, and you were put instantly at ease? Like, how did you find your first interaction going yourself?
So for me, I've seen a post on Instagram, just a promoted post about Andy's Man Club, and then I just looked at the website probably every day for 4 weeks, probably 3 or 4 times a day, trying to pluck up that courage of actually going. And then my wife, she was working away from home, so I'd just been sat in the house on my own on a Monday night, so I decided to give it a go. Parked up, sat in my car for a while before finally getting out and actually walking through the doors. So got meted by a guy called Rich, who was one of the facilitators there at the time, and took us up to where the meeting was being held. And from there, it's just that first night, it was hard just being able to talk, but it was one of them where just listening to other people and other blokes being able to get things off the chest and then realising I'm not alone in the way that I'm thinking.
Yeah.
And there's other guys out there that are going through something similar, and they all supporting each other as well, which is the main thing.
Yeah, no, that's that. Similar to that, what Luke said, wasn't it, in terms of like going, because if you don't mind me asking as well, like, had you ever done any therapy or anything beforehand, or was this like the first kind of mental health thing that you'd done?
Yeah, the first step on the ladder.
Yeah, because
No, I've done CBT probably about 3 times.
Yeah, I've done that.
Yeah.
And I've gone through EMDR, which is about eye movements, which obviously we'll get a bit more into that when we go through when I talk about like PTSD and stuff. But that's something that really helped me. Where for me, CBT wasn't a great thing, but I don't know if that was more that I didn't have enough time to build up that trust with the person that I was talking to, and because obviously you only get a certain amount of sessions. Where Andy's Man Club's a bit different because you're not just talking to one person. I'm thinking, do they understand what I'm talking about, or do they understand what men think about and stuff like that? So it was just one of them where Andy's Man Club were a bit different because you've just got a group of men. That first night I went, there was about 10 men there, all just willing to talk and just being able to get things out there that something that I'd probably I had been bottling up for many, many years. So
yeah, that's interesting. And then just before we move on, something that sprung to mind when you mentioned the day of when you actually went to Andy's Man Club, when you said it was in 2021. Was any of it to do you think, with like COVID and the pandemic and, being at home and isolated and stuff, or?
No, it was one of them where I was able to work through, even working from home and stuff like that. So, in terms of how I was feeling for years, that social anxiety, I actually preferred being at home and being able to just to work in my own time. But in terms of for once COVID had ended and started going to the office, that actually harmed me more. But it was one of them where within my job I deal with a lot of positive stories of what people do outside of work, and just being able to see what people are doing outside of that 9 to 5, it kind of gave me a bit of a kick up the arse, really, thinking I could be doing more myself, and then seeing Andy's Man Club and then having to go my first time and then wanting to help out at a later date, that was something that really gave me that push, really.
Yeah, nice. It is, like you said, it's getting that, not the kick up the arse, but yeah, I've lost my train of fucking thought. What was I even going to say? I was going to say something around like the COVID thing and stuff when you were saying about being at home and then wanting to kind of go out more. I was a bit like that. Like I not so much social anxiety, but I'd say a bit like introverted, and like now in my job now, I'm like semi like remote. I've just used your catchphrase, but
you're
yeah,
50p.
I'm like remote and go in the office 2 days and work from home 3 days. And that's
how it is for me now. Yeah,
like I much prefer being at home. Like, and I think that is where I am a bit of an introvert. Like I'm in a, what is it now that I always say, this is my catchphrase actually that I didn't think of before.
Oh, go on.
But an introverted extrovert.
Okay.
It's not really a catchphrase, but I've mentioned it on other episodes before. But like, I'm more than happy speaking to people and shit like that. And like, if someone wants to talk to me, I talk to them. And I'm quite good now at holding conversations. Whereas back in the day, I'd really struggle. And it's like, and I say back in the day, I mean like, probably like in my early 20s, late teens. But yeah, it's just getting I just fucking love being at home. I think it's the comfort as well, because I've got kids as well, so it suits my lifestyle, being able to do school runs and all shit like that. But it is quite nice every now and then getting into the office and seeing people, I suppose. You're fully remote as well, aren't you? And you were saying it the other day that you quite like getting out.
Yeah, fully remote 5 days a week, but I go in at least once a month just to break up the week a bit and see my actual colleagues. I've worked there for 5 months, I've still not met everybody.
Well, most of the people that I work with, they work all over the country, from like London up to Newcastle, so it's one of them where we probably get together every 6 months or so, and in my office there's only one person from my team, so like today I've been in the office and kind of on my own, and then I'm just thinking I wish I were at home, because I'd just be exactly the same there. When you just sat on your own at home, but you have to get them days in. So
no, it does. And just before we move on, this is really like irrelevant, but it's related to the office thing as well. One reason why I love being at home as well, I don't know about you two, but I can't shit in public, so like if I need a shit in the office, I can't go.
Oh no, I'm the opposite.
Whereas if I'm at home, obviously I could just fucking curl one out and like no one gives a shit. But Beth, like my partner, Beth, like if I'll text her like during the day and that I like really need a shit, she's like, just go for a shit. I'm like, I can't, like in the office, so I like hold it in all day.
Wow.
Drive home, hour drive, going over speed bumps with a fucking turtle's head.
Scratching the back of your
Yeah,
dogs.
mate, fucking like Lewis Hamilton's been doing donuts in my fucking boxers. And then get home and then straight to the toilet. She's like, why didn't you just have a shit in work? But to be fair, I think it's my setup in work. Like the toilets in my work, it's like in the office and there's just 2 doors.
Oh,
and I'm like, I wouldn't want to go in, fucking absolutely stink out the place, and then walk out and there's like a lady outside waiting to go in after me.
And then
So it's
everyone
like,
will know it was you.
yeah, so anyway, enough talk about toilets. I think.
I've got another question for you, Rob. So can you tell us your childhood hero or current hero?
So when I was a kid, I was huge into my ice hockey and stuff like that until my late teens. So for me back then, probably someone no one's ever heard of, unless you're really into ice hockey, but it was a guy called Rob Wilson, and he was just one of them. It was my hero, and I used to wear his number. So I was always number 5, and then as soon as he switched to 21, I switched to 21, and it was just one of them where even through like the summers, he used to contact me, he used to ask how I were, and when he was over here, because he's from Canada, as most ice hockey players, and so it were one of them, he always kept in touch, and when he was over here, when he did hockey schools, I'd be one of the first people on him.
Wow.
His wife used to do power skating lessons with me so I could improve.
So you've actually met your hero?
So it was one of them where, as a family, it was just, there were people that I really looked up to back then. So yeah, it were just one where they really just wanted to help me, and it were really happy times of my childhood when I was doing it. So yeah.
That's awesome.
That is awesome, yeah.
I did see, I noticed when we was on the camera earlier on, that you had the shirts on the wall, and I thought they looked quite cool, and I was going to ask about them. If there was like ice hockey jerseys.
Yeah, so they were when I played for the like conference teams, when I played for North of England and Midlands, through when like under 11s to under 17s, so yeah.
Did you say that you used ice hockey as a bit of like an escape, Rob, because it was like the thing that you found most enjoyable? But it's also a way to let off a lot of steam, isn't it? Because you can get into a few scraps on ice hockey, can't you?
I've seen videos like that.
Yeah, so I had to stop playing when I was 19, so I didn't get into too many as a kid. Not in games anyway, maybe in changing rooms when you used to get annoyed with each other, but no, it was one of them where it was a really good way of just taking out that frustration, and starting as a 5-year-old, it was one of them, it was my life. When I was at school, it was, every single teacher was like, Rob's got lots of potential, but he's very easily distracted. And that's most of the time, because I was thinking about ice hockey. And I was doing it like 3-4 times a week and playing for different teams. So it was something that was a massive part of my life, because I just always thought I was going to be an ice hockey player, and that was it.
So were you set you were going to probably move to Canada, like in your, like as soon as you turned 18, you was like, Mum, Dad, I'm going, I want to be an ice hockey player. Like was that your aspiration?
Well, I nearly moved over there when I was 16.
Wow.
I went on a trial, like a scholarship trial, with kids from all over Quebec and different parts of Canada, and I did get asked to go to a school over there, but it was a lot of money, more than what my dad earned in a year, so that wasn't going to be happening, and then you had to pay for plane fees on top of that, for like the holidays and stuff, so it was one of them where my dream, it was in touching distance, but unfortunately didn't get any further.
Yeah, you have to be rich to do it.
You would have had to be very well off to go and pursue your dream. Unfortunately, is that the case, Rob? Yeah.
Yeah, basically, with Canada, there's a lot of competition over there for places. We've been their national sport.
Yeah.
So everybody wants to get into the best places. So a lot of time they can put the prices up for that sort of thing.
Wow.
But no, the school wanted me to go, but it'd been way too much for my mum and dad to do.
Yeah, defo. Just on that, have you ever seen the film Happy Gilmore?
Best film going.
What about Goon?
Goon's alright, but if you're looking for like a hockey film where it's got violence, it's a film called Slapshot. So it was
Slapshot?
Yeah, so that was one probably back in the 70s, 80s. But that one's probably got the most violence for a hockey film.
Oh, okay.
Is it like a known thing then that it's like allowed? Because I seen a video yesterday on Instagram of like an ice hockey rink, and they like come to blows or whatever, these two players, and then they like both put the sticks on the floor,
yeah,
have a scrap,
yeah,
and then they like shake hands after it and then pick these sticks back up.
Yeah, it's a done thing in it, Rob. Like they actually, like on the film Goon, they actually hire enforcer players just to go and fight and not play hockey. Is that right, or is that just a myth?
It's starting to come out of the game now, but there is some teams that do have people who are in that way. But it was definitely something from the coming up to the 2000s and before. It's probably over the last 5 to 10 years they've started coming away from that, and it's more of a skill game now. So it's one of them where, because of like all the concussions, head injuries and stuff like that, I think it's something they're just trying to take out the game these days.
Yeah, so I remember going and watching like Manchester Storm as a kid, and they'd have like a segment towards the end, like best punch, best takedown, best knockdown, and it was like a very emphasised part of the sport, if you know what I mean. As in, that's the bit that drew the crowds more than the actual technical skill of the hockey players. Is that? Would you agree, Rob?
It's something that it gets you going, because like when I first started going to watch, my first game was at the Sheffield Steelers, and there was a guy called Tommy Plummer, and it was small, he had a fight, and I was like, I want to play this. And that was what got me into hockey. It was that someone had a fight. So even though I was only 5 at the time, a week later I was going skating, and probably a few months later I was in my first team. So it was definitely something that dragged me into it.
Bloody hell. So did you enter many fights at school then, Rob, practising before you got on the ice rink?
No, I didn't actually fight at school. I think I maybe had 1 in all the time that I was there.
How did that go?
To be honest, I don't even remember it. I think it was one of them where people, because you think with the ice hockey and it's fighting and stuff, so I think people kind of stayed away, even though I was quite small still.
Oh, so because people knew you played ice hockey, they thought, oh, he must be able to fight. So that was like
possibly.
That's good.
Let's go that way, eh?
Hard by association. I'll take that.
Yes.
So Rob, let's get on to the like sort of not main thing that you wanted to talk about, but when we was messaging, you said that you wanted to speak a bit about like trauma and like specifically relating to PTSD and stuff like that. So I wanted to ask you sort of what are your like experience like surrounding like these two topics?
Yeah, so I've been diagnosed with PTSD, and that was from a trauma that I had just before my 9th birthday. It was one of them where my grandma and granddad had been on holiday, so they'd come back, so me and my mum was going to visit them, and unfortunately I'd actually found them passed away, and from carbon monoxide poisoning. And through growing up as a kid, it was one of them where I used to get flashbacks of that night, where I'd wake up in sweats and shakes, because as part of that PTSD and that trauma, I felt like I was back there, and I was in that moment. So it was one of where, but ice hockey kind of masked it for many, many years. It was kind of put a plaster on it, and it just froze to the back of my head. But then once ice hockey had finished after I'd had a knee injury, it was one of them where it all came back at that point, where I was getting flashbacks quite often, where I weren't sleeping. If I did sleep, it may have been an hour or two, because I was always in that panic that I was going to be sick, getting these views again. So it was one of them where growing up, mental health for me wasn't really talked about, especially in the sport that I was in, where you had to be, as we've been talking about, you had to be strong. Yeah. You couldn't really show any of them weaknesses or anything like that, so I never actually spoke about it to anybody. So I used to have all these flashbacks, but I couldn't talk to people. So like my mum, my dad, I couldn't really tell them, because my mum has obviously gone through it herself. So it was one of them where it was really hard to talk about. But it's, what I would say is, a lot of people think from PTSD it's just like in the army, or if you've been in the military or anything in the past, and, or you've been on tours. But it can come in any different way. It could come from someone being in a car accident, or gone through something similar to me, or just seen a traumatic event. You've not actually been part of it, you've just seen it, but it can still affect you. And I think that's something that people do kind of forget when someone says that they have got PTSD.
Yeah, it's like it's bordering on a like stereotype, isn't it? When someone hears PTSD, they think, oh, you must be served in the military or something like that. But do you think trauma can sometimes be subjective, Rob? As in, what might be traumatic for you might not be traumatic for me, in that sense.
Definitely. You could see something happen in the street.
Yeah.
And you can just walk past it and nothing actually happened, but someone else sees it but their mind is triggered.
Yeah.
And it could be something that may have related to them when they was younger, or something that can just happen. Like for me, mine really started after my wife's nan passed away. So, and being in the room at the time, that it just brought me back to that day when I was 8 years old, banging on the window to my grandma and granddad. Even though it was in a completely different circumstance, it just triggered me at that point. And it was one where I was trying to fight it because I was trying to be strong for my wife and her family.
Yeah.
I think that kind of made it worse as well.
Worse trying to mask what it is you were going through in order to be a strong sort of shoulder to cry on for your wife. That made it. You felt that made it worse.
Yeah, because you're wanting to be. Well, it's that male mentality, isn't it? Where you've got to be that strong person. You've got to be the tough one. So it was one of them where I felt like I had to be strong for them. But as soon as it came back to when my wife gone to sleep, I'd be downstairs and I'd be in absolute tears.
Wow.
Sort of thing, because you're holding that in, and it's just in deep. But as soon as I went on my own, that was it. It all just came out at that point, because it was like no one knew about that weakness anymore.
Yeah, as in when everyone's sort of eyes are shut, you've got a minute to yourself. You can like pour out. Like I did that when I split up with my wife and I put the kids to bed and stuff like that. I was downstairs on my own, and I just, like you say, you'd just be like, I feel a bit like I'm just gonna go for it and cry my little eyes out, so no one else sees me actually do it. And then you wipe your nose, dust yourself down, like, right, let's go again tomorrow type thing. And
exactly, yeah.
It's I don't know, it's almost like, again, a bloody stereotype that we as men do that, if you know what I mean, because we feel like we might be being selfish by not looking after the ones who depend on us, and actually sort of showing some emotional, like negative emotion, in order for us to be like looked after, if you know what I mean. You don't want to be. You feel selfish, don't you, when you feel like people depend on you.
Yeah, and it's not wanting to be a burden either. I didn't want to put that burden on other people, and for them while they're going through their tough time, I didn't want to put any more on them, sort of thing. So it was, I just made it where it was. I just did it on my own, just kept it all bottled in like we do as men. But in the long run, it's not the most healthiest thing.
It's not the most healthiest thing, but like the alternative is to add petrol onto the fire, if you know what I mean. So it's kind of a double-edged sword in that sense. There's no correct method of doing it.
It is good though that like in today's like age we do have a lot more resources. Like Rob said earlier, he stumbled upon an ad for Andy's Man Club. Whereas fucking years ago there was fuck all that. So
no internet.
It did become more the norm where men would bottle it up, and that's why it has become that like probably that stereotype, because everyone just wants to always provide for the family, and you always feel like you should be the fucking man and not cry and get upset and be there for other people. So it's I
suppose that comes from the generation that has raised us, like our fathers. If you know what I mean. Do you find that as well, Rob? Like you've watched your dad handle certain situations and just think, well, that's the right way to go about it, and just sort of done it yourself as an autopilot?
Yeah, I think it also comes from that northern mentality that we've got as well, where people working in the pits and stuff like that, and that just getting filtered in. And with me, like I said, playing ice hockey, and then after I'd left, while I was still playing, I was working on the railway. So again, it's in that male mentality when you're in the van and stuff like that, going to the jobs. You won't ever talk about that sort of thing.
No,
so it's something
definitely.
you've always just kept in, because you don't want to be that weak one in front of everybody. I'm already ginger as it is, so I can't really add more onto people to take piss out of me. Never mind adding in feelings and stuff like that. So I think it was just one of them where it was kind of ingrained from me, from doing what I was doing and then working on the railway, and it's just that mentality that we've got.
Yeah. Did you so I know you mentioned earlier about doing the CTP. CBT. I was trying to think of it. I didn't want to get it wrong around. So I know you mentioned about doing the CBT therapy.
Yeah.
And you did it 3 times, I think you said. So was this kind of like after that, or was it like when you kind of acknowledged to yourself that you was, having these struggles, and how did that come around then, doing that therapy?
Yeah. So, like I said, when I was 19, it was one of them where it really hit me at that point after I stopped playing ice hockey. But then I met my wife, or now wife, and I think that kind of masked things again, because it was something new, it was a new purpose. Where before my ice hockey was the purpose that I had in life, where then meeting her, she was then the purpose, so it kind of masked it for a little bit. I was still getting the flashbacks, probably 2-3 times a week at that point. So it was still happening, but it was, like I said, I was triggered when that happened, and that was when I was about 25, something like that, 24, 25, and I went to the doctors. I was told it was just work stress, even though I told them everything that was going off in the flashbacks and stuff like that, and then it was a couple of years later, that's when I had my first CBT. Well, no, it was quite a few years after, actually. It was through work, through an occupational health, that I had some CBT, but I only got 6 sessions. So it was one of them where by the time I was feeling comfortable in talking, because I wasn't ready to open up straight away to a complete stranger, it was all done. So by the time I'd started opening up, my sessions ended, and then I went through some more with the NHS, but it was like starting all over again and trying to trust somebody.
Yeah.
And being able to tell my story, and that again, I think that as for men, women may seem to be able to jump into it straight away, where we may take 2 or 3 sessions to even just trust the person fully. Yeah,
definitely. And then do you find like then it was going to Andy's Man Club which eventually kind of helped? Because I was just going to ask, do you ever have any like flashbacks now, or?
So after a while, so they put once I discussed with a second GP about how I was feeling and what I thought it was, because I started working in a job centre, and obviously learning through that. You start picking up on different mental health conditions, and at that point, that's where I realised I fit into that category. I fit into that PTSD.
Yeah.
Everything that's happening there is happening to me. So that's when I spoke to a second GP, and he got me onto some therapy called EMDR. Unfortunately, it took quite a while for that to come through, but from doing that, that did start doing that at the start of lockdown, and since then, touch wood, I've not had any flashbacks from that point.
Wow, so really?
That EMDR treatment, it's part of eye movement. So, like when you're asleep, your eyes are moving quite quickly in the back of your head, apparently, and that's where all your memories start coming back.
No way.
And so doing that, it was very tough to start with, because you're having to relive them moments. So you're having to force them moments to the forefront of your mind. So it's really tough, and even though it's an hour session, it really does take it out of you. But after that 12th session, in terms of the flashbacks, I felt so much better.
Wow.
At that point. in terms of that. So very thankful for that part.
So what exactly is like EMDR then, in terms of like you walk into the room? What do they actually do?
So because it was during COVID, I actually did it over my phone. So it was just one of them where we did it through video.
Yeah.
But it was just one of them where she was just getting you to move following her finger, or because that in terms of the eye movement one, that wasn't working the best. So we did some tapping techniques as well, and it was like you brought that memory to the forefront, but then doing the tapping or the eye movement, it kind of relaxes you in a way, and it starts becoming easier when you start seeing them images. It's very strange, and doing it every week and only doing it for an hour and it actually doing something was over time. It was very strange, but no, it gave me another coping mechanism as well for me. If I have like a panic attack or if anything's happening, I've got a new tapping technique what I've learned from that EMDR treatment, where now it's another positive if anything's happening.
So is that process, would you say, I'm going to say my term here, my phrase, is it like semi-hypnotic, would you say? As in the tapping and stuff?
Possibly. It's one of them where you've got your eyes closed, you're bringing that memory to the forefront, and then you open your eyes, and that's when you're doing the tapping and just trying to process. And you're saying
how you feel. How does that make you feel? What emotions are flooding to you now? And are you just trying to vocalise exactly what you're feeling at the point you're experiencing that memory?
Yeah. So once you've done your exercise, then she's like, how are you feeling about that? And for the first probably 6-7 weeks, I was just crying. Just because you're bringing that memory, and it's been such a hard thing for it would at that point 25 years, that it was one of them where I was seeing it nearly quite 2 or 3 times a week.
Wow.
At a minimum, really. So forcing that to the forefront was really hard. So for that first, like I said, 7 weeks, I was probably crying after him. And then after that, it started getting easier. And because what you try and do is, through your tapping technique, you're trying to get, on the first session, she says, where's your happy place? So, and then whilst you're tapping, you're trying to get back to that happy place, basically.
Yeah, just reminding me straight of Papa Gilmore, that happy place.
Yeah, exactly.
With
it is similar to that, and so you're trying to get to that happy place through that tapping technique. So it's trying to replace that memory, the hard memory that you're trying to deal with,
and
then bringing it back to that happy place that you've got.
Right, that's so interesting. I was going to say, when you say about the flashbacks, sorry, and you said that you'd have them a couple of times a week and stuff. Was it mostly when you was asleep then, and you'd wake up?
Yeah.
Was it never would you never just have them?
I'd never have it when I was awake.
Right,
it
so
was always while I was asleep.
Right, I thought
so. That's why I was always scared of going to sleep a lot of the time. It were probably when I was a kid. I just thought there were just nightmares or dreams about them.
Yeah.
But it was, as I got older, and they were getting more and more intense. And especially after that trigger moment, where then I started having them probably 6-7 times a week. So it got really intense at that point, and it was one of them where I was just scared to close my eyes every single night.
That's so sad.
I suppose as well, like you know what I said before about bringing the memories to the forefront of your mind, that your brain spent a hell of a lot of time trying to push that to the back.
That's what, I was just processing that then.
So I like trying to get that to come forth, and I bet your subconscious mind's like going, hey, hang on mate, we've tried to push this to the fucking right back of our mind, and now you're wanting to bring it to the fore, like are you mad? I bet your brain was sort of advising against it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Well, it was one of them after. It felt like you've done a full day's work and you've just been doing that for an hour. You're absolutely shattered.
Yeah.
But it was one of them where they always talk about like the fight or flight, but there's the third one, which is the freeze, and that's what I've just basically done for years. Is just throws it to the back of my mind, and then but then it just comes whenever it wants to. Your brain wants to play tricks, it just brings it straight to the forefront. So for the amount of years we're trying to freeze it, trying to bring it back out, it was very tiring by the end of it.
Yeah, what my therapist did with me was, I used to get very triggered at the mention of my stepmother, and what she said to me was, whenever you hear her name or something like about her, imagine her with a clown wig on, big red nose and big red shoes. I know how daft does that sound, right? But
no.
It fucking worked. Like the next time, like say like my dad or someone mentioned doing like a passing comment type scenario, I'd just imagine her with a big red wig on, a big red nose, big red shoes, and I'd say it kind of like trick your mind a bit, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So it is. I'm not saying it's that something that you've tried to do, but like doing that EDMR thing was your therapist trying to get you to associate something different to that memory that was causing the flashbacks to happen.
Yeah, and that's where your happy place comes in, and where she was trying to bring it back to. So you close your eyes, you bring it to the forefront, and then once you said it's there, I can see it, then straight away you're into your techniques, either your tapping or the eye movement. And she was saying, find your happy place, go to that happy place. And doing the tapping, it calms your body down from all that trauma that's going through, because you're bringing that bad memory to the forefront. Your body starts going into a sort of like a shutdown, but tapping just relaxes it, and then just taking breaths, and then just trying, and throughout the time, it started where you were seeing more and more of that happy place, and that's where probably your red wig and red nose comes into it, is that them bad memories that you're having, you're bringing them good to yours, that funny memory.
It's like you're painting another layer over the memory, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah.
It's so clever that when you think about it, like.
But it's so simple. It's so simple yet so effective, if you know what I mean.
But I mean, the fact that obviously like Rob was having these, like, flashbacks, and
but they were so intense.
Yeah,
like,
and the fact that something so not simple, but this technique.
You tap in a pencil, like that is very simple, but it's
like that's then made it go away. It's crazy that
It's just how like the human brain works.
Yeah.
Isn't it? It's just pretty fascinating.
Yeah, it's definitely a complicated one, the brain. So, but no, since then, I've not had any flashbacks. So, like I said, I started having that treatment more or less at the start of COVID. So, probably like just over 3 years flashback free, which 3 years ago I'd never have even thought about that. So,
and
never thought that would have happened.
What was the process like getting a diagnosis with PTSD, Rob? Was that a bit of an ordeal, or how did that go?
So, yeah, like I said before, it was hard. It was kind of one of them where I kind of diagnosed myself and had to seek a different GP to get the answer, which obviously they're very, very busy and seeing so many different people. So, but once I'd got that, it felt like there was something that was part of me now, that I understood why I was thinking like I was, and why I was having them flashbacks, and how I was changing as a person, because once I started hitting that depression and anxiety, which is obviously part of it, I started becoming a different person. I used to be that confident, like you said, Jay, and being that confident person, being able to talk to anybody, and then kind of going as a bit of a recluse and and having panics about even just going out in public. It were a lot of time trying to force myself to go out when my wife was wanting to go places, and trying to not show that there was something wrong with me, just bottling it all up. So once I got that diagnosis, there was that understanding where I could explain to people why I was like I was.
Yeah.
If you see what I mean, yeah.
Instead of, I bet you had every excuse in the book beforehand. Like, oh, I don't want to go there because of X, Y, Z. Oh no, I don't want to go see that person because, you know. And I bet you had them, you know, in a lock and key sort of thing. Reasons not to do things.
Yeah, or it would just be going out and just panicking all the way through it, and just not trying to show it on the inside. Your body's absolutely shaking and going into a massive meltdown.
Yeah.
But on the outside, painting that smile on your face and just getting on with it.
It's like putting on a mask, innit?
It is.
I know exactly what you mean. Like internally, you are crumbling, but on the exterior, you're, you know, soundest guy in the place, calm as you like.
Yeah.
It's.
But they always say though, innit, like some people you'd never expect.
Yeah.
You know, like when you hear stories about people that have, like, I don't know, commit suicide and stuff like that. Like, it's always the people you never would expect and stuff, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. At the time, just before I'd gone through the EMDR training, I used to be a facilitator at work. So I used to be stood in front of people 3 or 4 times a day running sessions. So someone who's not wanting to be in public or anything like that, standing in front and doing talks, is something that you would never have expected from someone who was feeling like I were. But it felt like I had to be doing that so people didn't cotton on to how I was.
And because it was part of your job, Rob, was that persona easier to step into because that's what you were getting paid for?
Yes and no. It was one of them where I kind of volunteered to get into that job. I don't know why, but it was one of them where I decided to do it, and working with the public, and that was, like I said, that's when I really realised what PTSD was, and then obviously having to learn it for my job role, and then seeing people coming in to the job centres at the time, and then understanding more because I could see myself in them as well. So but it was one of them where I had to just get it into myself that you've just got to get on with it. You've got to be that man. So whatever's going on site, you've just got to get on and just do what you can.
Yeah, and did you have a lot of support from like your wife and your family and stuff when, not when you got a diagnosis, but like even like the bits before that? Like, do you feel having a sturdy support system behind you has helped a lot to get you where you are now?
In all honesty, for most of the time, I didn't really open up at all about it. So it was just something that I just kept to myself.
Yeah.
So I didn't really, my wife didn't really know. Didn't know about a lot of the time where I was going downstairs, I was crying or anything like that. Not a massive amount about the flashbacks. I didn't want to burden her. I didn't want to put all my shit that I was going through on her. And that was the same with my family. So like my mum, obviously she was there with me on that night, and that was her mum and dad.
Yeah.
So I don't want to put that sort of stuff on her because all it's going to do is bring it back to what she was going through, because she saw the exact same thing as me.
Yeah. Did you know when you said like you used to obviously like wake up in the night with the flashbacks and stuff? Was it like obviously like a sudden, you know, like wake up and you'd be panting or whatever, and like, you know, I was gonna say, if so, did like your wife never like wake up or anything and be like, you know, question, are you okay or anything like that, or was it not really like that?
She's a pretty heavy sleeper, to be honest, once she gets going. So it's just one of them where I used to get it. I used to wake up, I'd be in that panic and with and sweating, and then I'd just leave the bedroom.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want her seeing me like that. I didn't want her seeing me weak or anything. So it was just one where I'd move myself away, I'd take myself out of that situation, and I'd probably just sit downstairs watching telly, just trying to calm back down. But like I said, I'd be terrified to actually go back to sleep. So like at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, there's not much on the telly at that moment in time. So it was just one of them where I just didn't want to sleep at that moment in time, and
As in, you didn't want to go back to sleep because you're like, I don't want that to fucking happen again, so I'm not going to shut my eyes now.
Yeah, because it's absolutely terrifying. Because you think you're back there, it feels real. So
as in when you're,
I felt myself knocking on the window to my grandma and granddad, and because I could see.
Could you hear like the bangs on the window? Like you could hear them like in your head, the bang bang bang.
Yeah.
So it's like you're reliving it and stuff.
I was that 8-year-old boy again.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's pretty fitting that you're now on a Troubled Boys Club podcast,
Yeah.
because it's so true, man. Like what we said in like the first bit, like behind every man, like to this day and age, there's some lad in there that's experienced like you have, Rob, something like that.
Yeah.
That has shaped the fuck out of them for the rest of their life. And I don't know, like maybe if you see a window cleaner knock on a window to just, try and get his money, that might be a bit of a shit like thing for you, if you know what I mean. Just because you've
back then it could have been,
of course, yeah, but I'm
say it might not have been, but it might fucking be now.
Imagine it might be now. I've just gave you a new trigger now. Fuck. I'm so sorry, Rob.
Window cleaners.
Now I'm able to manage it a lot better. I've got my little coping mechanisms and stuff like that where I've been able to pick them up over time. Where if I do feel like I'm going into that space again, or if I'm having a panic attack or anything, I can use them techniques and it kind of brings me back into the moment. So I think now if that knock on the window from a window cleaner, I think it'll be a bit different story.
Yeah, I was going to ask a question. So say where you are a facilitator at Andy's Man Club, then I know obviously you said yourself quite a few times in your own like journey and stuff, like you've obviously kept everything to yourself, you've not opened up, and you've not obviously you kept it away from your now wife and stuff like that. I know obviously what the answer's going to be to this, but you'd obviously, if you was telling people and giving advice at Andy's Man Club, you'd obviously tell them not to do that, right?
Yeah, and I think even when I was bottling stuff up, I was probably telling other people they shouldn't be bottling it up, and it's one of them where we don't take our own advice a lot of the time.
Yeah.
But no, even still at Andy's Man Club, it took me a few months to even tell anybody about that episode for me. So it took me a while to even do that in front of them. But it is, if someone is going to any peer support group, is to be open. If you want to, first of all, just sit and listen to other people, because there will be people there that will open up and will talk about stuff. And over time, you've just got to take it at your own pace.
Yeah.
If you don't feel comfortable at that moment in time, just listen. And that's what we say. There's no pressure for you to come in and just be able to waffle everything off at once. That's not what it's there for. It's for when you are in your own time where you'll be able to speak. And we've got guys at our group where they don't talk for the first few weeks. I've got someone who's probably going on the facilitator training in the next couple of months. When he first come, it was very quiet. You could hardly hear a word he was saying, even when he was just telling us his name. Where now he's a big part of the group and he's open with how he's feeling. If there's anything that's getting on his that he needs to get off his chest, he's straight in there and gets it out. So it's one of them where take it at your own pace, and it will come, and it will help at that moment in time.
You know, it is so good because it like, from obviously speaking to Luke as well, who's at Andy's Man Club, from what you said too, it like proper does sound like it helps people like beyond their issues, like it helps them as individuals too, and you know, with like just things like confidence and because we said ourselves that we are going to go to a session at some point, didn't we? Like 100%.
Yeah.
You know, we just not making excuses, getting the time for it. Like I've had like a sick bug in my family for like the last 2 weeks, so we've all been like one person's had it and then another person's had it and stuff. So it's just been a bit of a stressful couple of weeks, but I'm 100% now going to go, and it's funny because I remember like when we started doing the podcast and we were talking about it, I said to you like I don't think it's for me, I didn't know much about it. All I knew was from what my brother had told me, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm not very extroverted, so I don't think I'd enjoy it. Do you know, thinking you had to go in and tell a story like you just said. Then if you go in, get like your cup of coffee and a couple of biscuits and sit down and just listening to other people talk, I think is a big help, because it can help you, like, I don't know.
I think it lowers your guard.
Yeah.
When you hear more people sharing their stories, you're like, oh, well, everyone else has accepted them opening up about that. And then, you know, next week it'll be my turn, and I'll share my story. Is that what you did, Rob? Did you just sort of observe and then go, you know what, next week I'm gonna tell these lads because I've heard all theirs and it's time they heard mine?
Yeah, that first week I didn't really speak a lot. It was just getting a feel of it, because I had no idea of what actually happened when you went there. So it was kind of, you go around, I said my name, said it was my first time, and then passed the ball on, and how's my week been? Yeah, it's been alright. That were about it, sort of thing. But that's the good thing about it. You can give as much or little as possible. Like I said, I didn't tell my full story until about a few months later, when someone else mentioned that they were going through something similar, and that's when I said, I've gone through something where I found my grandparents passed away, and I was going through this, and everyone was shocked because I'd never mentioned it before.
So it was the relatableness that sort of was the last little roll of the dice for you that made you do it.
I mentioned it because I thought it had helped that person at that moment in time.
So you didn't even do it for you in that moment; you did it for someone else.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, I mean that's wonderful, right? That's awesome, but it's also bad at the same time. It's like the positivist negative ever. Doing that.
I think that just says a lot about Rob as a person, though. Like, you know.
Yeah. But Jay's the same though. You can't ask me to fucking pick some milk up from you from Aldi if I go there. You don't want to burden anyone.
No.
And
I think that's from my childhood, definitely.
Yeah.
I've not been able to ask my dad for anything.
If it's not your default, it's such a struggle to actually fucking do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the great thing about AMC. It's one of them where you sit down, and the people who are running it, they've been in that position before. They've took them first step through the door. So that person who walked through, you're greeting them. They know exactly how they're feeling at that moment in time. And then when people are opening up, and when like for the last week, I've said I'm absolutely great. I've got all this going off, and everything's really good. But then there's someone sat next to me who then says, "Oh, I'm having the worst week ever." But what I'm hoping they can see is that there is good in the long run.
Yeah.
And there is that light at the end of that tunnel, or light at the end of that, once you get to the other side of that storm. They can see the positives that people are having been there for even 4 weeks to 4 years. And they can see the good that it's having in other people, and that there is positives at the end of it.
Yeah, no, that is really good. Do you find, probably a bit of a odd question really, but being at Andy's Man Club for so long, do a lot of people come for like absolutely like random things, or do you find there's a bit of a pattern?
No, it's anyone from any walk of life, so it could be anything that who comes through the door. It could be someone who's been at rock bottom that week. We've got guys who've been where that week they've tried taking their own life, to people who just want to get away from the wife at night and just talk to other men. So it's one of them where everybody's different, but it becomes back to everyone's there to support each other.
Yeah.
And it's where guys end up in a really good place, but they still keep on coming to help others and see other people's journeys. I think that's the big thing, is them seeing them journeys from where someone's coming and they're not doing great to, let's say, 3-4 months later, and they're on top of the world, and they're completely different people. So seeing them journeys is something that kind of makes you want to go back, and then people stay going, and then they're helping others, they become facilitators. It is a really wonderful thing when you see it.
Yeah, it's like a proper, like,
full circle.
Like, they become their peers. Like I was at rock bottom last week, but I'm not better, but I'm doing better now. I'm going to keep going to make sure, you know, X person is coming up as well. So it's like they develop an avid interest in the other members that are going there. Obviously, become friends and become interested in their well-being and how they're doing and stuff like that. And it's such a community feel.
Yeah, I've got one lad at my group where first time he came, he tried taking his own life that on the Wednesday, came on the Monday with his mate, and he was absolutely shaking. He sat next to me, and all the way through he was just shaking like mad. To a point where 3 months later, he was in a much better place. About 4 months I'd asked him to become a facilitator, and now he's going out and he's doing presentations and he's doing events and stuff like that. And you see them journeys that people go on, and it's just unbelievable when you just look back of what you've been able to do and just being part of that, a small part of that journey, is a massive thing.
Yeah, no, that is so good. I was actually going to ask a question, like rudely jumped in before, sorry on you when you was talking.
Don't worry, mate.
So, when you obviously went to Andy's Man Club then, like 2 years ago, was there anyone there then who obviously welcomed you in on your first date? Are they still like here now?
So the guy who welcomed me in, he actually moved to elsewhere, so he's not there now. But there's another guy who's one of the other leads in Doncaster. He was there on that first or second week, and he's still running one of our other clubs in Doncaster. So it's one of them where he's helped me through it, and now we're working together in running these clubs. And then obviously seeing the club grow from that first night when I was there and we had 10 men at that one, to now where we've got 86 that have just come on this Monday just gone. And we're growing and growing, and we're looking at opening up another club, like I said, in the new year. So it's one of them where you start getting on them journeys, and he's helped me, and now I'm helping others. And like I said, the guy who I mentioned before, he's now helping others. So it's that really good circle where everybody's then working with each other. But I still remember meeting him for the first time and him just shaking my hand, telling me his name. And then we've built up a really good partnership and friendship since then, which is really good.
Yeah, it is mad. That is like the beautiful thing about it, because I bet there's so many people that you've met, shook their hand, and then like they're now fucking regulars, or like they might. Do you actually get a lot of people that come and then never come again?
Yeah, well, talking's not for everybody. Everybody finds their own different way of dealing with things. And some people, the talking doesn't work for them, so they might come once or twice, and then we might not see them again. But they may have found something else that's really good. In Doncaster, we've got a football thing called Mental Health FC, and talking to us might not help, but just playing football, getting exercise, might be their thing that improves their mental health. So it's one of them where they can then, if they move on to that, and I've seen guys who've gone on to that, and they're going week in, week out with that one and helping that one grow. So talking's not for everybody. It's worked for me and thousands of other men, but for others, that's not going to help, but they will find something that does help them.
Strip clubs.
Yeah, it's a known antidepressant, isn't it?
Hell yeah.
Sends all the blood from your brain to your cock. So, Rob, we've got 2 more questions for you, mate, and I think you know what the last question will be. But the penultimate question is, do you think, in your humblest of opinions, there's a correlation between the kindness of an individual and the extent of the adversity that they've faced in their lives? Meaning, do you think the nicer the person means the more shit that they've been through?
Not necessarily. I think in a way, yes, because like for me, I've always put other people first, because, especially with Andy's Man Club, I do an awful lot just because I don't want anybody going through what I have.
Yeah.
So I do put a lot of people first, which probably isn't the best thing to do sometimes, and my wife does get on at me for it when I'm not doing as much with her. But then other times, with people who maybe not the nicest, is there a reason for that? Are they doing it because of trauma that they've had in the past, and what they're feeling they're just taking out on other people? Because that's probably what I did for when I was going through a lot of my anxiety and depression. I probably took a lot out on my wife. I might have snapped at her a lot more often than what I were, just because I had everything else going off, and it was just hard to keep it all bottled in without letting rip. So, but no, I think a lot of time the most kindest to people are probably want people that have actually gone through something.
Yeah. I think there's a correlation like developing, but it's like you say, the person who's being irritable and agitated and stuff might be going through them same things, but it's like those, like, do you know the story with like the two wolves? There's one wolf that represents light, there's one wolf that represents dark. Which one wins? And there is a right answer. You just have to think about it.
Yeah, and everybody's different, and that's what makes humans unique in terms of how we think and how we work. Is everybody's different, so everybody has that different way of dealing with something. Where I was someone who bottled everything up, then you might get someone who's openly just tells everything.
Yeah, but
and then you've got people who bottle it up, but then they want to help others, so they don't feel like it. And there's others who bottle it up and then just take it out on other people. So
before you move on, I'll tell you which wolf wins.
No one gives a shit. That's why Rob didn't ask. Go on.
It's so relevant though.
Right, I'm gonna say the fucking light one because
no.
Right, well, the dark one. Then.
No.
None of them.
Whichever one you feed. Boom. I'm here all week, just so you know.
Right. Cool story, bro.
Wow.
No, that's a good answer, mate. Yeah, because obviously.
Well, the person who's being irritable and snappy and all that is feeding the dark one. The person who's being open and trying to be nice to the next man and not burden people is feeding the light one.
Yeah.
So it's just whichever way you go about it.
Yeah.
Depends on how the person's going to be reacting.
Nice, mate.
Quite deep, that.
I'm gonna start my own podcast. You know, you're a fucking nugget. You know,
the troubled
knobhead club.
Troubled wolf club.
the solo wolf club.
Oh,
me and Jake are scrapping after this, Robbie. You know that.
We'll have to get Google Meet back on.
Get my hockey club out.
get your puck out.
Actually, random question. Have you ever been hit by a puck in the face?
So, I have.
Oh.
But fortunately, at that moment in time, I was 17, so I had to wear a cage. So it dented my cage, so I had a puck imprint in my cage. So only 2 months later, I started wearing a half visor, so I was quite lucky, really.
That is lucky. I know at one of my old workplaces, the creative director was really into ice hockey and he played it a lot, and he got the puck smashed into his collarbone and snapped his collarbone clean, and proper fucked him up, and he was off work for ages.
Yeah, I've had someone, when I was 5, someone skated over my thumb.
Oh shit.
But luckily I never had any major injuries apart from my knee after someone had a knee-on-knee collision with me, stuck his knee out as I was going by, which in the end actually, again, with that bottling stuff up, I never told anyone for while I was playing because I didn't want to lose any ice time or anything like that. So again, that comes back to not opening up and telling people about adversity.
Yeah.
But yeah, in the end, for not getting it treated, I ended up having to stop playing, which obviously made it worse in the end.
Okay, Rob, we've only got one more question for you, pal. Who are you drinking, Rob?
So, today I've gone with a Wensleydale Brewery High Fives IPA.
Oh, mate.
That sounds delish.
You've impressed us. Not like fucking Luke drinking fucking water.
Drinking hydrogen.
Yeah, I couldn't bring myself to do that. I said to my wife before coming on, she's like, why are you getting the drink? I'm like, because I can't have water. I can't do it. So it's a hazy IPA.
Oh, mate.
Oh, God. Like,
I had to go for a hazy for you.
Yeah, you did.
Rob, you are a sweetheart, mate.
It's a bit strong for you too, though. It's 5.7.
Well, listen to this, Rob.
Wait, I need to ask him. Who are you drinking, Jay?
Well, boys. Rob is about to fucking eat his own words, mate.
Yeah.
Because today we have pushed the boat out. So what percentage was yours, Rob?
5.7.
Right, wait till you fucking hear what percentage was.
Little bitch.
God. Well, so today, when I was in Tesco getting the beers, I thought, I normally just get like the packs of 4 and stuff like that, but I think the IPA section in our Tesco is really shit. So we'd already had all of them, so I had to get like the bigger cans, and they're like fucking £4 each. So it's not cheap.
Absolute guan.
And well, I got us 2 different ones. So actually, I'm going to ask you the question after this because we've got different beers.
Oh my God!
So mine is a BrewDog, and it's called Arcade Made Double Dry Hopped Double IPA.
I bought that one a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, did you? And
So I've not had a chance to drink it yet.
Well, it's fucking heavy compared to normal bit. When I swigged it, it was like it tasted like literally what it says on the fucking tin. Double IPA. It felt like it had like fucking vodka or something in it. Like I don't know, but this is 8%. This one, so but it's one of them. Like you said it before we opened them. Like at first it's a bit of a harsh taste, but the more you drink it, the nicer it gets.
Yeah.
So actually,
I can't wait for you to ask.
No, actually, I'm going to be very, very selfless. I'm going to let Rob ask you the question.
Ask me, Rob.
Oh, who are you drinking?
I'm drinking. You didn't say my name.
I was going to say.
Rob, say my name, you cunt.
Say my fucking name.
Say my fucking name, God, you can tell it's fucking 8%. Jesus.
I was going to say, you can tell you're near the end of that.
Try it again, Rob. We'll delete that out. Try it again.
You want me to go again? God.
He wants you to say his name, the little diva.
It's not.
Before, weren't it?
I'll wait.
Right. I don't know if I want to ask you now because you're making it all about you.
I always ask the fucking question.
Oh, who are you drinking, Ryan?
Well, Roberto. Today, thanks, mate. Today, I'm drinking a BrewDog Mr. President Defiant Double IPA, and the percentage is 9.2. I'm officially, I got hairs on my chest just from drinking this.
Got pubes.
Yeah, my balls are dropped now.
I was about to say your balls just dropped.
Dickhead.
This is why he asked me who I'm drinking, because if we asked him who he was drinking every week, it'd take us about fucking 10 minutes to find out who he's drinking.
It's the first time I've been asked, man. I'm nervous.
Well, on that note,
it's been an absolute pleasure, Rob. Thank you very much for your time, and I hope you've enjoyed your stay at the Trouble Boys Club Inn.
Yeah, no worries. If you ever want me to come back, if you ever want to talk about anything else, then just give me a shout.
oh mate, I think we definitely will have a fucking V2 on the go at some point.
100%.
We've not even gone through all the stuff that I've done with Andy's Man Club as well either, so there's still a lot more that we could talk about.
Alright, plugging yourself to come back on already.
I like it a lot, Rob.
No, but honestly, Rob, thank you very much, mate. You've been an amazing guest, and we've learnt so much, and even just about the fucking EMDR stuff. I found that so interesting. So, thank you so much for sharing and just being super honest and open. And yeah, it's been mega, mate. You proper top guy. Thank you very much.
Anyone who's listening, just in terms of listening to me and Luke, just if you can take anything away, it's just talk. It's a massive thing. It can really help. So yeah, that's a big thing to take. It's okay to talk, as if we say at Andy's Man Club.
Yeah, that's brilliant, mate. Thank you very much, and yeah, we'll catch you on the flip side.
All right, cheers, fellas.
All right.
See you, Rob.
Nice
Take care,
one.
mate. Bye-bye.
Bye.
That was sick.
It was sick. I really enjoyed that.
Should we do the outro thing now and then cut it out?
We still recording?
Oh, fuck yeah.
Fucking 9.2% boys.
9.2.
Let's just end this shit and then we'll...
Right, okay.
Yeah, so...
My bad. TBC out.
Peace!